is that sports lounge, or what do you call this new function room?
Terrace.
The terrace,
Yeah.
even with the other function
Yeah,
room.
that's separate. That's showroom, this terrace.
Okay, so you are lucky because you are the first group actually to be here. We were here last night, which is an amazing thing. Anyway, tonight is an important night, and we are very fortunate and lucky that we are partnering with the Bulldogs. The topic is important to every person in any kind of family. Men's health is a sensitive topic that we should not shy away from not talking about it or afraid from even raising the issue and discussing it. For me, as a Chamber of Commerce, it's important that we lead the way, and we've done it, and we are grateful that we partnered with the Bulldogs to talk about this important topic. So tonight, I'm going to leave that discussion to be in the hands of the experts. And obviously, I'd like to thank Frankie Mikali from Frankie & Co, who's going to lead the discussion, and he will introduce the speakers. I'd like to acknowledge our board members, Jason, Araj, and Antoinette Khalil, who are here today, the Deputy Chair, John Curry from the Bulldogs, and obviously Diane Laymark, and all the corporate team from the Bulldogs, which John later talk about them. I'd like to acknowledge Carly Wilkinson, the member for East Hills, and Councillor Shabila Barad for your support amazingly. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Antoinette to say a few words, and then I'll introduce John.
Hello everyone. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. I am a member of the board of the Chamber. I'm also the principal lawyer of Khalil Lawyers, and I'm a proud sponsor of the Bulldogs, which we are fortunate to be here today talking about an important issue such as men's health. Firstly, I'd like to start by just sharing some statistics which is a bit awakening for us so that we could actually understand the impact of men's health and what men's health is in society. So nearly 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety, but less than half will receive treatment. And more than 4 times as many men as women die by suicide each year. Now, when you look at those statistics and you look around the room, you think, wow, there could be 1 in 10 men here that is experiencing depression or anxiety. So my question to you is, what are we doing as a community to help support the men in our lives? And how are we going to step up and try help them get through this important cause? And this is something that we will, with the Bulldogs, we will talk more about and find out more of how men's health impacts the NRL and the game. Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette. And now I'd like to invite the Deputy Chair, John Curry.
Thank you, Wally. Welcome, everyone. Just before I start, I think it's fitting that we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and we pay our respects to their elders, past and present. Thank you. The Honourable Kylie Wilkinson, State Member for East Hills, Shabu Alvarad, Councillor, Wally Mahana, your board, your members. It's a real pleasure on behalf of the Bulldogs to host you here, the area, Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs at Canterbury League Club. Many of you had hopefully enjoyed a nice experience of Belmore Sports Ground, where the Bulldogs live, work and come together. And we always say it, we're more than just a football team. We are a community. We represent a lot of diverse peoples, which is very reflective of Southwest Sydney. So our junior league, 12 junior league clubs, when you walk through the tunnel, you saw their logos on the left and the right to you. Some of us here are fortunate enough, one of the club legends and recent life member, Josh Reynolds. Can we all give Josh a big round of applause? Josh played at St George Dragons, one of the 12 clubs. It's on the edge of Clempton Park, and then you go all the way up to the edge of Liverpool, the Moorebank Rams. The beautiful thing about this club and this community is it gives you a lot of options. You can start off playing junior league. As a minimum, you become a fan. If you're lucky enough, you can become an elite rugby league player, play for the Dogs, play for your state, play for Australia, and play for other countries if you're from a different heritage. But more importantly, you can be connected here. So whether it's through the junior league, whether you're a volunteer, whether you work in the front office, we really wanted to showcase our whole club to you. We're very proud of our football team, but we're very proud of everyone who dons the Bulldogs business or polo attire. Our workforce are diverse. They're very reflective of this area. It's everything that we do. And if you can't be a player, you can't be a coach, you can't be a fan, you can be a sponsor, you can be a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which we're very proud to be a part of, and I'll just talk a little bit about that. But you can even become a board member. I hope you don't. It's not as fun as everyone thinks it is. You can do anything you want with this club. It offers a lot of options. The partnership with Wally has really flourished in the last few years. Yes, Wally's a great business connector, but he's much more. He's connected to politicians, he's connected to community groups, to schools. And I remember during tough times, during COVID, it was people like Wally, where this area was locked down by the military, that was able to bring us together, the Bulldogs, in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and local community groups. We went and visited the sick, we went and visited the vulnerable, we delivered meals to the needy. And we did that together, the Chamber of Commerce and the Bulldogs. For me, mental health, I'll admit I'm not ashamed. I'm one of many males who's tried to mask it all my life. I've struggled with it. As a kid, if you were having a tough week at school, or tough week as we came from working class backgrounds, our parents were migrants, they worked hard, they struggled. The Bulldogs was our fix. The Bulldogs were making finals. The Bulldogs were winning games. It gave us an identity. Kids were coming from new countries, couldn't speak the language. The connector was the Bulldogs, right? It's very much the theme today, and it thrived during the tough times of COVID when this area was locked down. Wally, to you and your chamber, can't thank you enough. We're really, really proud to be a part of your chamber. It's not just a business chamber, it's much more. We're doing good things, but we're going to do a lot more great things. Thank you, welcome to Canterbury League.
Thank you, John. You always speak with passion, wisdom and sincerity, and that's what community is all about. Tonight we are demonstrating collaboration, the true meaning of collaboration, and the Bulldogs is one of the pillars of this community. The Chamber is just another pillar, and we both speak universal language, and we put it to practice to make sure that we can elevate this area as a true destination to live, grow, and to study, to do business here, and to play sport. So the corporate team is here. They all love to connect with businesses. It's all about reaching out, and they are here to help you. So feel free to approach them later and be comfortable, ask any question you like, and they are most welcome for them to come visit you at your workplace as well to learn more about your business environment, about your brand, and things like that. But tonight is the main topic about men's health. So the person, Frankie, please join me. That man is amazing. He's got a journey. Obviously, everyone loves donuts. He's the man who invented the word donuts, and he can bring people from all walks of life, doesn't matter what colour, brand, what language, and then enjoy the donuts. So Frankie & Co, they've got about 21 stores across New South Wales. You can find them in every big shopping centres next to Coles and Woolies, and then just look for Frankie & Co to have your meetings, one-to-ones, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you like, just be there. How's that, Frankie? So I'm going to hand that to you, take it from here and lead us.
Hello, thank you and welcome. As Wally mentioned, Frankie Go, but tonight's not about me, it's about men's mental health and how we can learn to be better and work with our fellow men, work with the community and get through these times. And I'm a big believer if we work together and there's no shame in asking for help, we can pull through. But I'm going to invite my first speaker, Stephen Pike, up on stage. So not many people know Steve, but Steve, this is his 15th season at Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. He's very well loved, very respected. His official role is the Wellbeing and Education Manager, but I've had the good honour of working at the Bulldogs as well as a few other clubs. And Steve is a special guy. I'd say the Bulldogs are lucky to have Steve, and the players are lucky to have Steve in their corner. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Frankie. Thank you very much.
So, Steve, can you 15 seasons? It's a pretty big effort. It's almost unheard of these days. But what's your official role, and what's it entitled? What's it mean?
Yeah, I've been there 15 seasons now, and my background is in vocational employment. So for the old people in the room, used to be the old Commonwealth Employment Service. I did my time there. Did a bit of time and also in the Centrelink. So a bit of vocational employment, a bit of welfare sort of stuff. and grew up in a local area, a Punchbowl boy. Played footy in the area as well. So yeah, it was a bit of connection with the area, and an opportunity just arose. Just talking to some employees of the Bulldogs, how do we get into welfare? And there's a foot in the door, just doing one day a month, and then grew into a full-time job. And at the time, there was no sort of welfare officers in clubs. It was a new sort of domain that rugby league was entering. And since then, it's developed into a sort of a major program within the NRL and the Junior Rugby League. So I mean, it encompasses a lot of different areas, a lot of education for the players. We talk about well-being, also careers aspects of it, transition away from the game, and just making sure that the players are at their best when they run on the field.
Thank you, Steve. Now, well-being, what does it mean? Like, and obviously there is a well-being program at Belmore.
Yep.
Can you explain what well-being is in a bit more detail, and what goes into the program, and how do you support? I've seen it because I'm lucky. I've worked with you, and I've worked very closely with you, and I've seen those times when young men are coming through and they've had some good times and some not good times, and you've worked with them in all those times. But if you can explain,
so I'll put it into probably 5 minutes sort of. Explanation of positive psychology and all that sort of thing. First of all, I'm not a psychologist, so I had to learn all this stuff. So as I said, my background was vocational sort of stuff, helping people that needed assistance, that's referring them on to counsellors or psychologists. Unfortunately, probably about 2010, 2012, a lot of players, the pressures of rugby league, some of the money that was involved, attempted suicide, committed suicide. So it's sort of focus back on rugby league. Okay, we've got to do more in this sort of area. So we developed a program which has been rolled out to all clubs and all state rugby leagues, the wellbeing program. So all us wellbeing managers got trained in elite athlete wellbeing and also career development to identify some of the early signs of players that might be struggling, and also the career transition, which Josh might talk about later on. When you finish the game, what do you do thereafter? Because us working people, we retire at 67. Rugby league players might retire at 25, 30, whatever, and then what they've got to do with their lives. So it's a big sort of change for them, financial and also social impacts there. So what we do with the players, we also education, make them aware, okay, the different emotions that they go through, different support avenues that's available, how you help your mate, those sort of different programs out there in the community. And we educate them, but also put it back on them. Okay, you need to be responsible and look after yourself as well. Put your hand up, go seek support. Which the stigma of mental health back in the old day was, okay, guys, bite your bottom lip and get through it, and don't worry about it. Whereas these days, we encourage everyone put your hand up. Many hands make light work. So we check in with players, formally, not just g'day, how you going. We sit down with them for an hour or so, and we do a lot of quizzes, mental health conundrum sort of quizzes, and go through that, and also do wellbeing plans, which again is very involved. Generally, we look at the wellbeing wheel, which looks at your whole life and things that it could impact on you. It could be relationships, careers, finances, your spirituality, connection to community, all those different things. So if one of those different aspects is out of kilt, it's going to affect your performance on the footy field. And same as the business world, if you've got problems at home, you're going to bring them to work. So it's not just rugby league, it's men's health in general and probably the wider society. It's not just specific to men and rugby league.
That was very good, actually. I might use that idea with the wellbeing wheel in my office when I'm talking to staff, because sometimes we just don't know. And sometimes you can pick it instinctively, and sometimes you just can't tell if someone's struggling financially, mentally, in a relationship, or just generally. So thank you, Steve. Now, Steve, I spoke to you earlier last week, and you mentioned the NRL also do a lot with wellbeing programs and working with the clubs. Can you give us a bit more information on how the NRL as a governing body also support men's mental health and wellbeing?
Yep, sure. So as I mentioned, we've got 3 wellbeing managers at the Bulldogs, and most clubs have a similar number throughout the NRL, and same with the New South Wales clubs and the Queensland Cup. They also have wellbeing managers. So we've all been trained, Cert 4s, in those certificates. The NRL themselves have got I think it's a $6 million program to look after wellbeing and career transition. So in the overall scheme of rugby league, it's a large sum of money, and the RLPA are involved in that as well. So they sort of see that as an important part of the game. You know, we've got these young men coming into the game, and women these days as well. That's another big aspect of the game. We want them to prosper, reach their full potential, but also leave the game as a better person. So, you know, there's a lot of education, a lot of one-on-one check-ins, a lot of that career transition. So in the employer assistance sort of program, the NRL spend over $700,000 on psychologists and counselling support. So, I mean, that's a large sort of amount of money from anyone's sort of budget. Again, so players and staff, I've got access to telephone services and also one-on-one, face-to-face sort of services. And again, a lot of players that, you know, there's a lot of movement between clubs, and, you know, players move from the country to the city and New Zealand to Australia. A lot of young ones, you know, jump at the chance to come play rugby league, but a lot of them might have underlying issues. So we do psychological testing before they arrive, not to screen them out, but to make sure if there's any red flags, we can identify and catch up with them early and make sure their rugby league career is on the right foot.
You've pretty much answered my next question, which was that, give some examples of young players coming through that might be homesick, fall on tough times. Obviously, they've got all the talent, physically, mentally, they're there. Just obviously that might.
Well, it's well documented. First, when he came to the Bulldogs house, he went home a few times, so we had to drag him back to Belmore and support him through those difficult times. And every player we bring into Belmore, we tell them, you know, at some stage you're going to get homesick. So, you know, you're not going to be immune from it. You're moving away from family for the first time. Okay, so you've got to get yourself busy. Make sure you check in with your family. Keep yourself busy, get a job, and put your hand up with come and see if you need some support. So a lot of times players do go home, and we let them go home to sort of get through those difficult times. We're not just a mad sort of rugby league and get here and train them hard and play hard. We do have a soft side to them because we want them at their best, and we want them to hang around for a few years and become great Bulldog players.
Thank you, Steve. There is something special at Belmore. I've worked for 2 other clubs as well as Belmore. I've done business dealings with nearly every single NRL club in New South Wales, and I must say I do miss my time at Belmore. I love every second of it. It was only 15 months back in 2014, and I still talk today about my time at Belmore and the people I met, the friends I have, the relationships I have, and I just felt safe. I felt safe with my co-workers, my colleagues, the players, what we were doing, what I was doing, even my wife will say it was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life was working at Belmore. And I have to put it down to the culture and obviously the well-being at Belmore.
I think that's one of the great things about mental health in general. And we talk about physical health and mental health, and they work hand in hand. And again, for rugby league, it affects their performance. The same in the business world. So if your mental health is on the right track and your physical health is on the right track, your performance is going to be on the right track. And there's some sort of non-negotiables that we talk about in rugby league, which are also applicable to the business world. And we talk about having good mental thoughts, so your positive outlook, physical health, making sure you get a bit of movement and getting out and exercise. It's important for the players to have nutrition, so again, general society, that's important as well. Even recent studies have shown just getting out in the sunlight, getting the sun on your skin, resets all the endorphins and your neurons in your brain, so and that gives you good sleep at night. So sleep's very important. We preach to the boys, make sure you get at least try and get 8 hours sleep at night, because that's when your brain detoxifies and all your memories then get set away in the brain. So all those sort of things we educate the boys, and even something we learned the other day was the way you breathe. And we had a psychologist talk to the boys and said, okay, well, tape your mouth at night so you breathe through your nose. And when we go, what? And he goes, no, because the oxygen level through your nose gives you so much more than nitro oxygen or whatever. So again, all that science comes into it, and that's probably what helped me when I first got in the role, learning about the different science, how the brain works, and then how it all interacts with, with your emotions and your behaviours. So yeah, very interesting.
Well, thank you, Steve. That was fantastic, and we know the Bulldogs are in good hands with their wellbeing and education program. Thanks again. Okay, next up, we'd like to invite the Prince of Belmore, Josh Reynolds, up to the mic. So, Josh, mate, looking good. Boots back on or no?
No chance.
No boots.
Absolutely no chance, mate. I'm definitely done in a good way. Yeah, I couldn't keep up. I was Toby last year. I was trying my best, but yeah, it wasn't meant to be. But very happy in my role now at the club.
So 209 games, 4 Origin appearances. Obviously, you won that historic. We finally broke the Queensland drought Origin series. City Country appearances and Prime Minister's 11. Prime Minister's 13 appearance. Sorry, I had Tim Sheens in my office last week, and he was telling me some good stories about Josh. And about how he was trying to get Josh to play a different position. And this is a true story, actually. And he was only there a couple of days ago. And he was telling me how he's had to get Josh to change his mindset to play hooker, dummy half. So if anyone knows football, Josh played his whole career at 5'8", and to play in an Australian jersey, the coach wanted him to change. So it was an interesting story, actually. But obviously, You've played at the highest level, the greatest accolades, 2 grand finals. But what was it like, obviously, coming through, playing with all your mates, junior club, Belmore? What was the first game like? Like mentally, what was it? What did it feel like?
Yeah, well, it's I suppose I love footy ever since I was 5 years old, and as you said, I grew up in this area, so I always wanted to play for the Bulldogs. It's probably, well, it is. It's the thing I have not a laugh about, but sometimes it's a roller coaster, and you just got to strap in. It takes you many different directions. But the biggest thing for me throughout my career, and speaking about a bit of the mental health stuff, is you just got to surround yourself with good people, and that's the one thing that I can honestly say. I've been to a few clubs, and there's no club like the Bulldogs that have helped me more off the field, to be completely honest. I had probably some of my worst years off the field, and I couldn't tell you how much of an effect it has on the field. So when you've got guys like Pikey there, you can go and lean on. Because look, we spoke about it before, there's a stigma, and it sucks, because I suppose just because the type of game we play is so brutal, it doesn't mean we don't have emotions and we don't have feelings. That was the one thing that I always tried to do in my career. Every team I was a part of, I actually always tried to break that. I'm probably one of the most emotional guys in the world. But I'm okay with it too. That's the thing, and that's one thing that I suppose I try and speak to young kids about coming through these days. It's actually okay to have bad days. It's just sort of how you deal with them and move on, and the people surround yourself with. So, yeah, I'm very blessed in the career I had, and now even more blessed to be able to still be a part of the club, and just trying to have as much of an impact I can off the field.
I was at the AGM a few Sundays ago, and I was choking up when you accepted your life membership award with you there. So yeah, it was a touchy moment, and I could feel the passion, and I could imagine from my side of the mental roller coaster. Obviously, I've got a daughter and a son, so I was when you thanked your parents, I could reminisce on that touching moment. It was very touching. You mentioned the highs and lows. You mentioned the roller coasters. I've had the privilege of working in and around footy clubs. It's easy from the grandstand, isn't it? How do you cope with? Obviously you get the highs from the fans, and then you get the other side from the fans. Like how do you cope? And you've touched on you've lent on staff, and obviously this club's done it a lot better for you than other clubs. But yeah, how do you cope with those? It's the same with people's works. We cop the highs and lows at works. you cop the goods and the bads from your colleagues, your family, your friends. But how did you cope with it during those seasons at Belmore?
I just got off Twitter quick smart. No, honestly,
that's good advice.
Yeah, you know what? I actually, Andrew Ryan actually said this to me a long time ago when I was young. Yeah, I was very lucky enough to come into first grade into a really good team. I really didn't have to do much to, look good. I had guys like James Graham and Mick Anderson stuff making me look really good. But it also comes with the highs, and when you're young, you want to see yourself on the front of the paper. Like, boys are lying if they said they don't.
I agree.
We've
all got an ego, yeah, 100%.
But you slowly learn that the guys that put you at the front of the paper are the ones that are going to put you on the back when you slip up just once. And it might not be a major slip up, but at the same time, unfortunately, you can't trust some media outlets, and I can sort of say that now, and that's the biggest part, how hard it is to do it, because for me personally, my trust was broken so many times, and I love to trust people, I really do, but unfortunately you've got to look after yourself, and that's the thing. So I learnt, don't read the good and don't read the bad, and I took it on board, because the one thing that I had a really good grasp on in my career is the people who truly know me, my friends and family, are the ones that I really only care about. Look, if anyone wants to bag me and say what you've got to say about me, then that's fine. But you sort of got to build that inner strength a little bit, I guess, and that comes over time. But that's why I dislike the platform that people have these days to rip into a young kid who's come into first grade for the first time and he misses one tackle, and old mate on the couch wants to start speaking about him and his family and stuff. So that's the stuff I'm really glad we're clamping down on, and it's actually an offence now to do that. So that's the one thing that I'm glad the game is moving towards, because it's unacceptable. We all stuff up. If there's any Bulldogs fans in this room, I probably lost us multiple games, but at the same time I'm only human, and it all goes back to we're human. We're not robots.
I agree 100%. Josh, there's plenty of love for you in this room. There's plenty of love for you at Belmore. I've been hundreds. I reckon I've been to half of your games, and there's definitely plenty of love. It is unfortunate there's a small percentage that do create that stigma, but it's definitely, and I think that's the same in life. You're going to get a lot of lovers, and you might get one or two that just doesn't agree or like something that's going on, and it could be for any reason. I've given up trying to work out people, we get it out in our day-to-day work, and people not happy to see someone succeed, and people want what they don't have. I don't know. I can only control what's in our four walls, and I probably learned that at Belmore. We can only control what's in our four walls, and as the saying says, it's the people in the four walls that makes the club, not the four walls itself. So I agree with Josh 100% there. Now, you touched on, you changed clubs. You had a couple of different coaches change there. That would have been a bit challenging as well. And I suppose same with us in work. A boss might change, a manager might change, someone might buy and sell a business. I often say rugby league taught me a lot, and it taught me how to deal with life. And the stuff that Josh goes through and other players go through, you can relate to that in anyone's day-to-day life. But obviously, changing coaches after you've gone for another coach, how did that transition go?
Yeah, that was probably the toughest decision of my life ever, to leave here, and I've said it before, it's the worst decision of my life. It is. That's just plain and simple. But that's just the way the world goes, mate. And like, once again, I made a mistake, but I've learned from it, and it's just, Obviously, I signed with the Tigers through Ivan Cleary, and Big Ivan decided to go and coach his son at Penrith 6 months later, and I had a full 4-year deal. So it was an interesting one, and then in comes, Madge, Michael Maguire, and look, it's once again the media spinning a story. There's speculation out there that me and Madge have a bad relationship, but we actually don't. We actually had some really, really tough conversations, but unfortunately there's a bloke named Benji Marshall that decided to play his best footy when I was at the Tigers, so he kept me out of a position. But look, that in itself, was very hard to deal with, because I come from a Bulldogs team, and yeah, we were lucky enough to play in 2 grand finals, and I was playing week in, week out footy, and then you go to, you work that hard to get up there, and you play, I think, 5 or so years, week in, week out, and then I go back to, missing out on spots and missing out on opportunities, and then, yeah, as I spoke about before, I had a little bit of off-field stuff going on, and I didn't deal with it well enough at that time, and that's the one thing that I just tell people now, players, you have to deal with your off-field things first. Pikey mentioned that if you're not there at training and you're not there in the games, you'll get found out. It's you can train as hard as you want in the gym and throw the weights around like nothing, but if your mind's not there, I don't care what anyone says, you might as well not run on that field. And exactly what happened to me at the Tigers. My body broke down. It's fair to say my mental health at that time was probably the worst it's ever been, and I didn't. For some reason, I tried to live by this whole unstigma thing, but I probably didn't go and get that little bit of help that I probably would have needed, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But at the same time, in that time, I had some really good people around me, and they pulled me back. I was probably doubting myself a bit there, because then you think, well, Tigers trying to get rid of me, and then is my career over? Unfortunately, it could have happened, but I sort of regrouped and surrounded myself with some people who really got me back into believing that I could still do it.
I think we can all relate to what Josh, everyone's probably had something in their life that hasn't, off work is not going as well as planned, and we're all human, we're not robots. I say this to my staff all the time. I get it, and it does affect work. There is outside noise in people's lives. It's happened to me plenty of times. But yeah, when you're good away from work, you're going to be good at work as well. So I think we can all relate to that experience. Anyway, now for the good stuff. You've gone to Hull. I've been to Hull. I was only there in October. It is quite cold and miserable and raining. Half the shops are closed up still after COVID. It is they do have rugby league. There's 2 teams in the town that they love the rivalry. I got the honour of going to both grounds and seeing it firsthand. How was that experience? Obviously, going to Hull, you won. Did you win a Challenge Cup there? No,
we made the final.
The final. Okay.
So reminded me, mate.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. I had Gareth Ellis with me last week actually. And he was.
They won it. He won.
I think he won a couple. Yeah. I had his big joy in my face. But yeah, he's a good man, Gareth. So, but that how was obviously. I can only imagine me as in your situation. I would have been homesick. I would have missed my family, my friends. I do love Sydney. I probably miss the Sydney. I love it so much. I would never want to move from Sydney. It's great having holidays, but that's just me personally. Everyone's different. But how was living in Hull for that time?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. The first day I got there, England went into full lockdown, so I got there and I was in the house for 3 weeks straight. So it wasn't the greatest of starts, but it was an eye opener. It actually got voted top 10 worst places to live in the world.
I would have voted for that too.
Unbelievable. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. But at the same time, I sort of looked at it. Honestly, I looked at it as a bit of a challenge for myself because, as you just said, mate, we live in the best country in the world. I don't care what anyone says, and I just wanted to take myself out of the comfort zone. I wanted to get out of Belmore, and I wanted to try new things. And it obviously wasn't working at the Tigers, so I had to try something different. But it was look, you speak about rivalries. I've played in some cracker games where South versus Bulldogs, James Graham versus Sam Burgess. Like, can you honestly get a bigger rivalry than that, mate? You can. These people in Hull, I was actually scared to leave my house during the derby week. Like, it was full on. They're very, very passionate. Remind me of Bulldog supporters, to be honest. Passionate to the bone, and gee, they love you when you win them, but when you're not. But look, it was a great experience, as you said. Bit hard. I'm a family man. I love my family to bits, and they've always been a massive supporter base for me. And but yeah, I took it on as a challenge. it was an experience that I'm glad I did. Yeah, because I come back and look, it wasn't. I didn't see out the 2 years because I was trying to come back to I was begging to come back to a place that would accept me, and got lucky enough to land back in Belmore, which was great.
You've been a bit modest because since Josh has left Hull, they're not sitting very high on the table, and they're not getting too many wins. So I think you did quite well over there. But yeah, now for the exciting part. You obviously came back to Belmore. What a fairy tale! I remember I was at season launch last year, and I had Cameron Serrato next to me, and I said, mate, you've got a few more spots. There was a lot of rumour and speculation. You're on a trainer trial deal. Was Josh going to fill those spots? He winked at me. I know Cameron well. And then Gus gets up on stage and tells the story of how he kind of let the cat out of the bag a bit.
GST in that story, just to let
I did hear that story too, yeah. But yeah, it was a great story. But obviously the emotional... Obviously, hang on, first of all, you trained your ass off to get that spot. So I think take nothing away from the hard work ethic that you did. So you've kind of like, you had an unfortunate experience at one club, you moved country, you mentally picked yourself back up, which not many can do, and you've got a top spot in an NRL club. Well, that's a pretty good achievement to do. So obviously mentally, how did you get yourself through the off-season, the pre-season? We hear all these stories, we see all these pre-season training camp videos. Like, how was that to go through day in and day out?
To be completely honest, if it wasn't here, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Every day I woke up, I was literally living at my mum's in Belmore. And I can honestly say, and this is what I really try, and I'm helping out the Fleet boys now, I was privileged to be in that building because I honestly look up to people like Terry Lamb and Turvey, and I always wanted to represent their jersey. That's what I wanted to play for when I was a kid. And to have the chance to do that one more time, that was my drive. I said to Gus, I'm not going anywhere else. If the Tigers wanted me back for $1 million, I wouldn't have went. Actually, maybe, but no. But honestly, it was just that. There's something different about this place, and hopefully everyone here knows that. It just means the world to me. It does. As you said last week, I got made a life member, and people probably are like, "Oh yeah, what does it consist of?" And I say, "Well, I'm in the same conversation as the Hughes brothers, the Mortimer brothers, and many, many more men in that group, and that's an honour to me. It means the world to me. Yeah, I didn't win grand finals, I didn't do this and that, but if I'm still on that board with names like that, as you said, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's a fairy tale. And I worked my backside off to get into that top 30, and I honestly think that's what got me in the end. I conceded 20 rounds in, to be honest. I just wasn't up to it anymore. I wasn't, and I had to be honest with myself, because I didn't want to be the guy that everyone was like, mate, it's time to retire. So look, for Gus, John, everyone who helped get me back here, I can honestly say, speaking about for my mental space, I've got so much closure now. I got to wear that blue and white jersey one more time, and finished it off at Belmore Oval where it all started. So yeah, it was a dream come true.
Now, one last question. You've touched on your role now. Now, what is the official role? And you've mentioned your mentoring, you're helping the young crop coming through. I do know I've got a 7-year-old son, and if he was in the hands of Josh Reynolds, I'd be pretty happy. So, but if you can explain a bit more for everyone else what the role is, that'd be great. Yeah.
I don't know, might have asked Byron this question, I'm not sure. I just sort of walk around the office and tell jokes, but I put my business card in the drawer, so I think it's got my role on it. No, honestly, mate, I'm doing my very best to learn off guys like Byron and Andrew, because they've been in this space before, and I feel I always understood from a young age that how much of an impact sponsors and people that care about the club have on your career. I really did, and I was grateful of that. So I feel I built fairly good relationships with a lot of people from outside and sponsors as such. So yeah, I had the relationship, but then it's about learning how to how to get them in, how to make them feel a part of the Bulldogs. Why would people want to come and join our club? And I feel I can talk passionately about, the club in general from a footy perspective, but from a business point of view, I'm still learning, and I'm really honestly enjoying it. I love it. Like, I went to a meeting a few weeks ago with Byron, and he pulled out not the NRL playbook, but it was a proposal, and he was just running through that, and I like that. I like learning new stuff. I like a challenge, and so that's one part of it. Still very, very rusty, but I'll hopefully get there. But yeah, the other side is I'm helping out. Josh Jackson in the under-20s. He's a head coach, and he's exactly how he plays. Very hard on the boys, but he's literally. Gus mentioned it last night. I think last night or a couple of days ago, saying that Jacko is gets them ready before they can get to zero. And if there's one guy who he breathes blue and white, it's Jacko. And yeah, I'm just trying to help out the young boys as much as I can, giving them as much knowledge as possible, what to do, what not to do, and sort of tell them it's probably just to be like, if you want to be a Bulldog, buy in. Otherwise, it's probably not the place for you.
Well, guys, Josh, that was amazing. That was amazing insight. We're pretty fortunate to have that insight, Josh. I thank you so much for opening up to myself and to the rest of the group here. Thanks again, Josh Reynolds. Okay, well, that was great. Thanks again, Josh. But I'd like to invite up Toby Sexton up onto the stage. So just quickly, Toby is he's 26 years old. He looks good. He looks very fit. He's played 31 NRL games. He debuted at 19 years of age. I know me at 19 was definitely not thinking about debuting for NRL clubs. So congratulations, Toby. Obviously, you grew up in Gold Coast, played for Currumbin. How was it making your debut in your hometown at 19 years old?
Yeah, it was probably pretty similar to Josh, to be honest. You kind of first started playing footy, and you watch Channel 9, Fox every weekend, and for me it was Joshy Reynolds and that, and you dreamed of that moment, and for it to kind of be at my local club where I grew up on the Gold Coast my whole life, and I lived and breathed everything about the Titans as well, and I think it's not only me achieving the dream, but my family was along there as well. And it was funnily enough that the way it kind of worked out, a halfback got injured, and it was when COVID happened, and we were meant to play away at the Dragons at Jubilee Stadium, and with COVID and everything happened, they ended up moving all teams to the Gold Coast. I ended up getting the debut on the Gold Coast, and I got to have my whole family there. I think there was like 30 of them, and the whole kind of week and the journey was just crazy, to be honest. It's kind of a blur still to this day, but something I still can't believe that I got to achieve, and to have my whole family in that there was pretty cool too.
When the coach told you, what was the emotion going through? Obviously, did he tell you early on the Tuesday team list, or did he keep it right to the end? Or
yeah, it was pretty strange, to be honest. I was in a meeting, and I knew it was out of me and one of the halves, and I kind of come in second, and he kind of went through training and was showing all these stuff that I wasn't doing very well at training. I thought, mate, I'm no chance of playing. And then he kind of ended it with, by the way, mate, your debut on this week. And I just thought, far out, you just bloody kind of dropped the bomb there. But yeah, again, like that whole week was just a massive blur, but something I look back at this day to be able to debut for my local club and grow up on the Gold Coast and play for it. It's still a crazy experience and something I kind of never forget now.
Yeah, I could only imagine the excitement and the emotion, and obviously the family excitement going through. We have spoken a few times before, and you've mentioned your family. You're very close with your family. They seem like a great family, which is a loving and caring family. They're a support network to you. Obviously, moving to Belmore. How was that? How did that decision comprehend mentally that this could be on the cards? I might have to move away, from my family.
Yeah, it was it was a big decision, obviously. I think growing up on the Gold Coast my whole life, I spent 22 years and I've got two brothers and mum and dad, and I lived at home and I was a bit of a spoonie, to be honest, but I got everything handed there. And I think at the same time I was in a stage in my career where the first year of first grade I played at Titans. I played 20 games and only won 3 games, and mentally I hit a pretty tough stage in my career. I got dropped. I used to listen to a lot of external kind of factors with the media, comments, fans, results, everything like that, and I was in a pretty tough stage of my life where I was losing the love for the game, to be honest, and you shouldn't really be doing that. When you've only played 20 games in the NRL, you should be at your peak where you're just loving it, but that wasn't the case for me, and I think the opportunity kind of arose to come to the Bulldogs, and even though it was going to mean moving away from home, it was an opportunity where I needed. I was in a stage at the Titans where I was in a very comfortable stage. I wasn't enjoying training as much, even though I was living at home and had everything there in front of me, and I think I needed a change. And coming to Belmore kind of makes me come out of my comfort zone straight away, and all them unknowns was exciting to me, and it was definitely a move I needed. And at the moment, I've never been this happy mentally, and even though that's away from home, it's definitely the move I needed.
Yeah, well, I can relate in day-to-day work. I've had to change jobs, careers, life. If you would have asked me when I was working at Belmore if I'd have coffee and cake shops, I would have laughed at you. But yeah, things just took a direction, and we went with it, and it turned out to be a great decision, and it's been a great decision for everyone. But at the time, it was a tough mental experience that I stayed at home for 3 months and struggled with to work out next steps. I can sort of relate to making a decision to change. Yeah, so well done. But you're living in Sydney. You did mention you love it. What's the best thing about Sydney?
I think when I first originally moved to Sydney, I kind of said straight away, I need to be close to the beach no matter where I am. I need to be close to the beach, and I don't think Belmore was going to quite crack it for me. So I've ended up living with my best mate, who we played school footy and that with, and I actually crashed with him, and he was in a 2-bedroom place, and we were sharing a bedroom together. So he was all for it, but I thought it was quite strange. So, but there was no other decision around it. But again, it kind of automatically gave that home feeling where I was living with my best mate, and it kind of brought me back to living at home, them kind of memories. And at the moment, we've found a place not far from Maroubra Beach, and I kind of get the best of both worlds now, where I get to spend time there. And for me, the thing that kind of brings success for me is having a good work kind of life balance. And I think rugby league for me it's not everything to me. It's only such a small part of my life, and even though I put a lot of time and effort into it, it's not who I am. I've got a lot of things outside of footy with my family and my mates and all them little things are who I am. And I think at the end of the day, it all contributes to success on the field.
So pretty much beach, friends, family, good lifestyle, good mental space is obviously helping you in your work, in your rugby league. So we can all pretty much relate to that. You mentioned your other stuff, like life after footy. Like what would you, obviously, we want to see you play another 200 plus games, but what would, if you had a crystal ball, what would it look like?
Yeah, I think it's something I put a lot of time in, to be honest. I've done a few TAFE courses and I started a teaching degree, but I didn't quite like the content. But I think anywhere in that kind of disability and youth sector, I'm really kind of enjoying at the moment. A few courses I'm studying at TAFE, and I think anywhere along that kind of path will be something I want to do after footy, because at the end of the day, it's like any career, you want it to last as many. If I can have a career like what Josh did, it'd be unreal, but at the end of the day, that might not happen. It could be the next couple of years where you're done footy due to injury or anything. So I think it's important to plan what your future looks like, and I think I'm pretty comfortable what afterlife of footy looks like.
Well, getting to know you the last few months, I think you're an amazing guy. I think you're a great guy, and I'm very fortunate to have met you a few times and have a few chats with you. Is there any other questions for Toby, guys, just while we're up here? I think we're all good. Guys, thank you again, and thank you, Toby. I'll hand back to Wally. We've got a quick word from Byron. Yeah. And then I'll hand back to Wally. Thank you.
A round of applause for Frankie, everyone. That was really great insight. Thank you so much. Thank you for those who came to Belmore Sports Ground today. You would have seen, obviously, the Bulldogs are a football club, but as JK said, we're more than that. And that's what I just want to briefly talk to. Bulldogs are beyond that. We're the family club, and we do live by that. But as a club, there's many other things that we do. One of them is community. Community we are re-establishing at the Bulldogs and starting from the ground up. We've just appointed a new head of community, Damon here. He heads up that program. And for people in the room here, there's opportunity to be a part of what we do in the community. It's not just about the football element. There's three main pillars that there's a focus on. There's health and wellbeing, there's education, and there's Multicultural Australia. And there's opportunities for businesses to be a part of, and you see the big corporations out there, your big banks, your shopping centres doing a lot in that space, but they do it at a real top high level and reach high numbers in that space. But what we do is we get in there and we do really a lot of the hard work at the lower levels into the schools and directly with people with disability, stuff that Toby just spoke about. We do direct work with people who are in the NDIS programs and etc. But all those pillars, there's something a part of it that we have an opportunity for everyone to be a part of. So if anyone tonight has any questions about our community program, Damon and Di are here to chat about those. Our players are backing many of those programs and help them. I think today they're at a school visit. We're looking at working with dentists to work around hygiene. But the Bulldogs, because of that multicultural part, we speak many languages, and what enables us to connect with the community is that logo. And like JK said, people have come from far and wide, and the connection to this area is that Bulldogs logo. No matter what language you speak, where you come from, that means more than anything. And you hear the stories from the players, and they all come from different backgrounds, but it's that one thing that unites and inspires, which is also touching on our morals and our brand at the Bulldogs. The other thing I'll touch on is our sponsorship program, which we've got a couple of partners in here, Antoinette, obviously Wally with the Business Chamber. Many opportunities to be a part of the club in any capacity. We're a really proud club where we go away and work with you about what it means for you to be a part of the Bulldogs. Like Josh said, we customise everything from branding to game day hospitality, and there's just different ways to be a part of the club and connect as well in this great community. So there's myself here, Andrew, Josh, part of our corporate team, obviously JK, great board member of ours who's a big advocate of all programs in the club. So if you have any questions of that, please reach out to the club tonight directly, or in the future. We're happy to come out and talk to you. Community, corporate hospitality, corporate sponsorship. It's a great way to connect with your community, great way to be a part of the community. And yeah, you do see all the big brands on the front of the jerseys and all of that, but there's a place for everyone at the Bulldogs, either in the corporate space and or in the community. So thank you everyone for tonight. I really appreciate everyone being here. I'll hand back to Wally. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And this is important that we connect with the Bulldogs and we all support each other. From a chamber perspective, yes, we are about connection, relationship and education and advocacy. There's one more element that we want to encourage and promote at every event. We want to encourage every employer, if they have any job vacancies, any kind of opportunities to employment, because we want to start looking into our own backyard to support our own people, our own kids and our own families, members to work locally. So I'll encourage you all, if you have any vacancies, share it with me. We can promote it and circulate it, and even make an announcement here sometimes at events if you have something wow factor. So keep that in mind. Now, one person I'd like to bring forward is Diane. Can you join me, please? She works hard behind the scenes, and Diane and I we love the community and we're very passionate, and we always stand behind the scene in shadow to make things happen. So tonight is a credit to Diane for putting all this effort together, pulling all the muscles behind us and all the big brands, and she's got even more surprises. But to you, Diane, thank you. You're very humble. You like to sort of stay in shadow, but you are a star and you should be always at the forefront. So please say thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Molly. You're too kind, but really, it's so easy to work here. when you look across, like all these guys have given up the night tonight to be with their families to support the Bulldogs. So I think we should give them a round of applause. And JK is outstanding because JK is the glue that puts us all together. So he connects us to everyone in this room and many other people. So, you know, JK, we all thank you, and it's an honour to be here. And like you see, you know, look, young Toby, he's come from the Gold Coast. He's already a Bulldog. You know, you've got Josh, you know, he's an older Bulldog, but he's still our Bulldog, you know. So yeah, but you know what I mean, Josh. So, you know, don't underestimate the power of the Bulldog brand. And like Byron just said, you don't have to be a player or work in the admin office, or, you know, you could be a little sponsor, or the sponsorship guys can come out and talk to you. They can work out what you've got, how much money you've got, what you need, and you can join in with a big pool of a brand that is international. So you want to think about it. You know, if you want to build your brand, join the Bulldogs, because this is a really good club. I've been associated with it since early 80s when my brother came here, and he always says the same thing as Josh. He's so regretful that he left here and went to West, because his greatest memories were in this building. So thank you for coming tonight, and Wally, you're such a gentleman. Thank you for having us, all right?
Pleasure, Diane. I'd like to thank Oz Arab Media, our media partner. They always be present at every event, and they do live stream and they record it and they share it on social media. Diane, before you go, I think we've got a lucky door prize to share. Please, Josh. And I believe you've got another surprise, that tickets to the games. You've got a giveaway. So what would you like? Can you give instruction, Diane? Damon?
Yeah, just
please.
You get the mic, mate.
You'll see around the room these sheets here with the QR code on them. You can scan them and fill in the form and select one of 4 games you receive 2 general admission tickets to. So just do that by Wednesday next week and you'll get the tickets closer to the game.
Okay, here's the lucky winner. Okay, is that Stephen? Stephen, where is he? Has he gone? Stephen, May. You are an ideal person. Well,
read my name, man.
can you get a photo of us? Bobby, just get a photo together.